Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
عليك السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
How are you doing now, Ustad Assad?
I'm okay, alhamdulillah. Yourself?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good. Allah barik feek. طيب, inshallah. So, to get straight in there, inshallah, we just want to know a little bit about yourself, about your background, your, bit about your journey, inshallah, when it's come to, your studying and seeking knowledge, inshallah.
طيب, okay. بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله ما بعد. طيب, so I don't know how far back to take this. خلاص, let's start at the beginning. So, childhood, growing up. Actually, let's start before that. Parents. So, alhamdulillah, I've had two very, alhamdulillah, practicing parents who've, alhamdulillah, done their best in giving me the best upbringing that I could have asked for. My father is a regular attendee of the masjid, and he's well known in the community. He prays, as the taxi drivers do. They pray in all the different masajid wherever they are. And my mother, alhamdulillah, especially in my kind of high school years, she started learning more about the Deen. There was a lot more classes going on in Leeds, especially for women, which didn't exist prior to that. So she started attending them. Alhamdulillah, she started learning more about the religion, and she would try to share what she's learning and that kind of stuff. But myself as a kid, so a lot of people are surprised when I tell them this, but I was a very, very naughty child. Particularly when it came to madrasa and school, I was okay. I didn't really have any problems in school. But in madrasa, I had issues. So long story short, I got kicked out of pretty much every class I attended. I used to go to Bilal Masjid, which was across the road from my house. I think the reason was, I've looked back and I've thought about this, why? Because I wasn't necessarily naughty. I think the issue was I was always quite big for my age. So I'd get put in classes with older children. So I'm a 5-year-old in a class of 7, 8-year-olds because my cousin was that age. So they put me in the same class as my cousin. And the teacher obviously wouldn't expect me to be younger, so they would treat me like the older children, but I wouldn't behave like them. So I'd get in trouble. One teacher would get sick of me, send me to the next class. They'd get sick of me, send me to the next class. I did a tour of all the classes, and then the teachers were like, right, you can't bring him back anymore. My mum found a new madrasa with an Egyptian teacher called Abu Fadl. And he, alhamdulillah, he was a good teacher. But when I got there, I noticed that I've got 4 or 5 friends from school here who I already know. So again, you talk, and you know how the madrasas were back then as well, very kind of strict, and don't talk or you'll get. So so that happened quite a bit till it got to the point where he's like, right, khalas, I'm kicking you out as well. So this was probably when I was in year 8. So how old are you when you're about 13? From that age, there was a bit of a gap where really I didn't have any kind of formal. So
was that like, were you just doing like the hifth, or were you doing?
No, it was just madrasa, just reciting. I'd recited through the Qur'an a few times. I'd memorized a few surah from the back. But that's when my mum and dad were just like, khalas, like, how many more madrasas we're going to find you? You're clearly not interested. You're clearly not behaving yourself. What's the point? I was going to a Islamic school on the weekend on a Saturday called Al-Hadiya. Which I don't know if you've heard of it, but
I've heard about it.
So I used to go there. So I continued going there till I can't remember if I got kicked out or I or khalas, I just said to mom, I don't want to go back anymore. It was one of the two. Probably got kicked out. Then I think it was like a mutual agreement. Like the football players have the contract terminated. It was one of them.
They were happy to let you go.
Yeah, one of them. So I think from like year 9 onwards. I didn't really have any kind of formal classes that I would go to education-wise. When I got to college, alhamdulillah, I was always praying. We went to Umar as a family when I was in year 8 or year 7. So I was about 11, 12. And that had a big impact on me. And from then, since coming back from then, I just, khalas, every day 5 salah. And Fajr sometimes you'd miss, but I'd wake up and pray qada at the very least.
Alhamdulillah.
So I was always praying, but there was no like formal education or even an interest in it. But one thing did happen, which is when I was on that Umrah, I remember kind of being inspired that it was the first time it opened my eyes to the fact that, hold on, the Qur'an is something to be understood, right? Arabic is a language. These people are talking to me. They're saying things and I don't know how to reply. And my dad, he studied in Pakistan with some teachers, and they taught him like word for word translation of the Qur'an.
Okay.
So growing up, I always saw that my dad understands the Qur'an, right? But we were never taught that, and we were never able to understand. But obviously, as a language, he wasn't able to communicate and stuff like that. So when we went to Saudi for Umrah, I assumed, my dad's fluent in Arabic. And then I remember once he was trying to give directions to a bus driver. And he was just saying the odd word that he knew in Arabic, because these words are not used in the Qur'an, bus and supermarket and whatnot. And I just remember the bus driver getting frustrated, and I was like, what's happening here? Like, is he not understanding? But I remember, it was Ramadan, and we were studying Taraweeh, and I remember this man, very clearly I remember this memory. He pulled up next to me, he put down a sajjada or musalla, and he, like sideways so we could both make sujood on it. And then the Imam started reciting, and after a couple of rak'ah, the man started to cry. So I was just, as a kid, daydreaming, thinking, it's hot. And he'd been here for God knows how long. And then I thought, why is he crying? Right? What's happening here? And that was like a spark that, hold on a minute, I need to feel that. I want to experience that. And then another thing happened, I remember, which was, it must have been the first or the second, probably second night of Ramadan, because we were stood on not the roof but the middle floor. Right, and we were stood. I had a direct view of the Kaaba where we were praying, and the Imam recited وَاتَّخِذُوا مِن مَقَامِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ مُصَلَّى. And when I heard that, I looked up and I could see the golden casket and the maqam. And whatever he recited from the whole juz, they're the only two words I understood. Maqam Ibrahim. I was like, that's Maqam Ibrahim. And I thought to myself, subhanAllah, I understood two words, and it woke me up from like this ghafla I was in, or this heedlessness I was in the prayer, because of two words. And I just thought to myself, imagine I could understand the whole thing. So I came back, and this was at the point where I didn't have any classes and whatnot. But I remember saying to my mom, I want to learn Arabic. And I said to her, next time I come back to Saudi, inshallah, I'm going to be fluent in Arabic.
So this was when you're about 13, 14?
About 13, 14, yeah. Okay. So we came back. Now I remember, actually, that's one of the reasons I dropped out the Saturday class, Al-Hadiya, because I said to my mom, I'm going to leave that because I'm not really learning anything there. I'm definitely not learning Arabic there. I want to find an Arabic class and enroll in it. And and she could see that actually he wants to do this, as opposed to the other stuff where he clearly doesn't. So so we started looking. So this would have been 2008, 2009, something like that. Locally, there was not really any classes. Like we looked, we didn't find anything. Online was not a thing. This is like
that, back then it would have been.
I don't even think the iPhone had been released, or it had just been released, the first iPhone. So the internet was early days, and there was no classes. So so nothing came of it. And it kind of faded away into the background. So skip forward to now when I'm in college, where I'm about 16. About 3 years later. I've got to college, and I went to Notre Dame College here in Leeds, the one opposite the university. And it's a sixth form college. So instead of, you have high school, then sixth form within the school, this is like a dedicated, you only have year 12 and 13.
Year 12,
So it was a different environment, alhamdulillah. You get away from school, you get away from all that childishness. And I had a couple of friends there in the prayer room. So we had a prayer room. Well, actually, so in the beginning of the year, I was going to one of my uncle's houses nearby and praying there by myself. He gave me a key, I'd go and pray. Then they did an assembly one day, and there were some brothers who went on the stage and started doing an assembly about Islam. And so who are these guys? We've never met them before. And then at the end, he goes, for any Muslim who wants to pray, we have a prayer room and we do congregational prayers every lunchtime. I was like, really? And he said, there's this prayer room. So I went to the prayer room, met these brothers. The building was called Trinity Building. It was a Catholic college. And we had a prayer room, and we used to call it Trinity Masjid. So we used to go to Trinity Masjid every lunchtime and pray. And there was 3 Arab brothers there, a Libyan brother, a Saudi brother, and a Moroccan brother. And they're all talking Arabic to each other. And that's when the spark kind of reignited that, Arabic. I wanted to learn Arabic. These guys are speaking Arabic. And they'd start teaching me the odd word. Like, I'd start to pick up on, not a lot, but the odd word, right? They'd say it so often. I'd be like, okay, I understand that word and whatnot. So at that time, I kind of started looking again. Okay, it's been 4 or 5 years. Surely there's some classes.
Yeah.
My mom had actually joined an Arabic class that was run by Leeds University in one of the community colleges around here locally.
Yeah.
And she said, "Oh, this is what you were looking for." She goes, "It's too difficult for me.
Yeah.
I'm not really learning much, but I think this is exactly what you were looking for."
Yeah.
So I enrolled in that, me and my older sister. Alhamdulillah, started to learn bits and bats, right? It was a very academic course. It was very grammar heavy, and it was taught via the English language. So it was, I don't feel like, looking back, I didn't learn a lot. I felt like I was learning a lot at the time.
Yeah.
So I would do that every couple of evenings a week or something like that.
So is that very like academic and theory based, not like practical?
Extremely. And it's not Quranic in any way, it's MSA,
okay.
Modern Studies in Arabic. It's very much focused on conversations, and we're learning about newspapers and politics and this kind of vocabulary, which wasn't what I was going for.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I'm learning all these words and all these grammar rules, but I'm still going to the masjid and not understanding anything.
Yeah.
So I knew somewhat was wrong. But alhamdulillah, I thought, okay, I'm learning Arabic at least.
Yeah.
Maybe this is what it takes. Second year of college, everybody's applying for university. They're doing their UCAS applications. And everybody seems to know what they want to do. I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be a this. I'm going to be a that. And actually, they knew it by the looks of it from high school or from a long time ago, because they planned their GCSEs, they planned their A-levels based on what they wanted to do in university. With me, since I was a kid, if you asked me what you want to do when you're older, didn't have an answer. It would change every week, every month it would change, right? At one point, I genuinely thought I'm going to be a bin man. Because I thought, look, these guys, they only work in the morning. But you never see bin man at 3 p.m, right? So these guys just wake up in the morning, do your job, go home, happy days. So, and then obviously, my mom would always shut down my ideas. Like, no, you're not being a bin man. And people would suggest, oh, you should do this, you should do that. But I never thought, no, I want to do that. So everybody was applying for UCAS. And I didn't have the vaguest idea of what I wanted to apply for. So the teacher was like, just apply for something, get into university, and you can even change your degree. I said, look, I don't even want to do that. Like, I don't even think I want to go to university. I knew the only thing I knew at that point is I want to learn Arabic. So I thought to myself, okay, how can I do that? How can I make that happen? So of course, Leeds University have an Arabic degree. So I considered it. I looked at it and I thought, you know what? I'm taking a course run by Leeds University in the evenings. When I looked at the actual course, it was the same book, the same curriculum. I was just doing one module of their first year course, basically. Okay. So I thought, I can't do 3 years of that. And I spoke to a few former students. And I saw kind of what level they came out with in Arabic. And I thought, that's not good. That's not what I'm looking for. So I got rid of that as an option. Then, although there wasn't really many other options, right? Even then, there was some stuff online. There was the Medina University. That was like the go-to option for most people. There was the odd Jamia in Qatar and here and there. So I started applying. But obviously, I didn't really understand the application process. I didn't know anybody who'd been there. The UCAS deadline passed. So I knew I wasn't going to university next year. Unless I did somewhat like on last minute on, clearance. I don't even think I could have done clearance because I didn't even put an application in. I think clearance is for those who don't get their main application and then they
by the deadline.
And then they can take something else. I hadn't even applied. I didn't have an account. So I've applied to a few of these in Qatar and whatnot, but I didn't hear anything back. And now we're approaching the end of the year. So in my head, it's like, okay, I'm going to finish college now, and then what's happening next? Right? There's nothing planned. Then I heard of a college in London called Ibrahim College. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Okay, I've heard of that. Yeah.
I think I saw an advert on Islam Channel or something. They were talking about they had this 2-year Arabic intensive course or something, or 1-year Arabic intensive course. So I applied for that, and they called me for an interview, and they said, brother, 250 people apply for this, but there's only 20 spaces. I was like, I don't mind. I'll still come. Did the interview, and then they offered me the place in the program. So alhamdulillah, this is around March time, maybe. So in my head, khalas, next year I'm going to Ibrahim College for a year. So I start planning, okay, I'm going to move to London, accommodation, so on and so forth. The college said they'd help me with accommodation. So they said, actually, there's another student who's joining the program. We're going to help you arrange to get a flat and you can split the rent with him and whatnot. So I said, perfect, because rent in London's silly and finding the places. So that was all done. or it was mostly done. And then it was Ramadan. Ramadan at that time was probably around August in 2013, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The long Ramadans.
The long Ramadans. And I remember I went for i'tikaf. And in my head, it's like, okay, i'tikaf's going to finish, going to be Eid. And in about 6 weeks, I'll be in London. Not even 6 weeks, 4 weeks, I'll be in London for this intensive thing. I get a phone call while I'm on i'tikaf. And basically the brother said, the other brother who you're going to share accommodation with, he's pulled out. And that accommodation's gone. Yeah. So you need to arrange your own accommodation if you want to come here and study. I was like, okay, I'm doing i'tikaf. Yeah. Then it's Eid. Then there's about a week. How am I going to find a place in a week? Yeah. He goes, if that's the case, then we're going to have to offer your place to somebody else.
SubhanAllah.
I said, khair. Qadar Allah ma fi sha'fa'al, and offer it because I don't want somebody to miss out. I keep it hostage or whatever. So he did that. And then I remember just thinking 10 days in, or whatever was left of i'tikaf, 8 days, like I'm back to square one. Like I have no idea what I'm doing next year. I thought I had something lined up. So it was just tawakkal ala Allah and just make dua and see where it goes. So now, in the meantime, I'd heard of this institute in France. I don't know if you heard of it, Ma'had al-Urupi.
I've not really. Some brothers told me about it, but I've never really heard about it.
Okay. So I'd heard
in southern France or something, yeah.
Central France, in the countryside. So I'd heard stories that there's this place in France where some people go to learn Arabic, and I was like, France. I'd search for it online. There was nothing. Yeah. There was a website in French, and you'd click. It had the drop down to change the language. Yeah. So I'd click English and it'd go back to French. So I thought, what's this place, man? Like, it can't be real or it can't be good. So I forgot about it. I think at the time when I was looking for these places like Ibrahim College and whatnot, I think I rang these lot. I thought, khalas, let's try. Let's see what they're about. I rang them, they didn't pick up. So I said, okay, forget it. So I forgot about them. Anyway, after Eid, so finish i'tikaf, finish Eid, and I'm sat there thinking, right, okay, I've got a year. Maybe I'll just find some online course and get a part-time job, or even get a full-time job. I'm free now. Or get a part-time job and then the other half the time fully focused on Arabic online. Yeah. Right. Couldn't find any good courses, but there was some YouTube stuff. I was like, I'll teach myself. Right? Yeah. One way or the other, I'll learn. Then it came to me, this France place. Maybe I'll try them again. So I've called them one more time. And this time they pick up. Yeah. So I thought, there's actually somebody there. So I start talking to the guy on the phone, and he's talking to me in Arabic. Yeah. No, he's talking to me in French. No, English. He starts talking to me in Arabic. I'm like, no, English. He goes, Français or Arabic? I was like, neither, but I know a guy who speaks Arabic, so put the phone down and literally ran to my friend's house. Yeah. That Saudi brother I was on about from college. Yeah. Ran to his house. It's called Ibrahim. I go, Ibrahim, I need you to translate for me. So we rang them back. And this is the beginning of September. So the guy on the phone, he said to my friend Ibrahim, he said, okay, tell the brother that we still have spaces. Yeah. It's a 2-year Arabic course. We still have spaces, but he needs to get here in the next 2 weeks, right? Because the spaces will be gone. Yeah. Bit of a sales tactic. Yeah. But he goes, he needs to make payment and he needs to come and he's got 2 weeks and otherwise all the spaces will be gone. So okay, so I've gone home. Oh, in the meantime as well, there used to be an imam in Masjid Iqra, in
Iqra Center.
In Iqra Center. He was only here briefly, a couple of months. He was called Adam Jamal, something like that. Yeah. He was an American brother. He studied in Darul Uloom here and then he moved to the US. Okay. Briefly, he was an imam in Iqra Masjid. He had studied in this ma'had in France. Yeah. So I spoke to him. I went there one day and I spoke to him just in passing and he mentioned it. I was like, oh, so this place is real. So he told me about it. Okay, so I remember now. I spoke to him after I'd made this phone call. Yeah. Because somebody told me he studied there. So I went and spoke to him. He told me, yeah, it's real. He gave me directions on how to get there. He goes, it's really hard to find. So you need to fly to this airport, get a train to this place, get another train to this other place, get a bus, go to this village, and then ring somebody to pick you up. I took notes thinking I don't know what he's talking about, but literally he gave me detailed instructions, wrote it down. Went home and then said to my mom, like, Mom, can I go to France for a year? She's like, what are you talking about? Yeah. I had to I couldn't let on to her that I didn't know very much about the place. I was like, no, it's a really good institute and I know some brothers who've been there and they spoke really highly of it and this, it's better than the place in London. Forget the London place. I'm gonna go to France, inshallah. Yeah. So, because I kind of let on that I knew what I was talking about, she was like, okay, khalas, if you sound like you've done your homework and you really want to go, and I can tell that you've got nothing else planned. So, Bismillah, let's do it. So a week later, I booked a ticket to France, packed my bags, started following this brother's instructions, right? Long story short, it took me about what should have been like a day's journey. It took me about 2.5 days to get there. I missed the train. I got stranded here. I was walking around this village with a suitcase, lost, knocked on the door in this village, like, you speak English?
No French.
No French, no. And bear in mind, there's no 4G, there's no Google Translate. This is 2013, like, phones were as good as they are now. Now, apparently, one of the brothers, you might even know him, Rais.
Yes,
So he stood there a number of years later. He's telling me in the Ma'had now they have 4G, they can watch their phone in the mabit, in the dormitory. We had to go to this phone box, right, and get like a little receipt with 100 megabytes of internet to make a phone call. I'm acting like I'm 100 years old, but
no, it's true. That's something I experienced as well. Like around that time, that's how it used to be. You pay for this many minutes, and
so it's come a long way, subhanAllah. So I've walked around this village, knocked on this door, that door. People are scared. This guy with a big beard, with a big coat, and had a big pink suitcase. Right, I bought a pink one thinking everybody else is going to be black. A pink one is going to stand out. I don't need to stand there trying to figure out which is mine. I didn't know I'd be lugging it around France for 3 days, right? So I'm carrying this big suitcase around and knocked on this door. Do you speak English? Yes, little. I was like, okay, that was a Russian accent. But yes, little. I was like, okay, can I borrow your phone? I need to make a phone call. So this is after the whole, I've got to the village now. I need to ring them to pick me up.
Okay. Before
I left, I'd rang them, told you, I'm going to be there at this time. But I was like 2 days late because I'd missed the first train and then the bus and whatnot. So I've rang the brother in the office, same brother who French or Arabic.
Oh.
So I'm like, I didn't think this through. Okay, I wanted to make the phone call, but now what happens? I was like, brother, it's Assad. He's like, huh? I was like, Assad. Assad means lion in Arabic. So this guy's picked the phone up. Somebody's going, lion, right? Assad Masud. He's like, huh? And I was like, obviously I'd taken this Arabic course, so I knew the odd word. Right? So I said to him, Ana fil bus stop. Right? As in, what, the bus stop. Right? He's like, fil Boston. Like, no, not in Boston. Not in the bus stop. It's like, bus stop. I don't know any of the words, right? For some reason, subhanAllah, I just carried on like this. Did he put the phone down? He was about to put the phone down. Eventually, I heard him just go, ah. Well, like, that noise is still ingrained in my mind. Because I was like, alhamdulillah, he's understood. Like, I think he's understood. Then he said something in Arabic. And I assumed it's like, I'm sending someone to pick you up. So I went to stand at the bus stop. And I waited about an hour. So this car drives past. And there was a student. I found this out afterwards. He was a student from the college. And he, again, speaking to me in Arabic. And he's like, are you going to the Kulliyah? And I was like, yeah, but he's sending a guy. So if I go with you, might mess things up. So I sent him off. He was there within 10 minutes. I sent him off. I waited an hour thinking, Allah sent me this guy and I sent him away. Now I'm still stood here again. And now that shop's closed, I can't even make a phone call. Eventually this van pulls up and brothers like, get in. I was like, alhamdulillah. So I get in the van. They take me to the college. Long story short, I studied there Arabic. They had a 2-year Arabic program. I did it in a year, alhamdulillah. And then came back. Yeah, that's the long and the short of my Arabic journey up until there.
Allah barik, yeah. No, that's subhanAllah. I think anybody that studies not only Arabic, just a language, you have to have some sort of journey or some sort of sacrifices, to be able to engulf yourself in that language. So obviously you would say that would be the critical year where you really I'm assuming there as well, obviously nobody else was speaking much English, so it was a kind of deep dive into the language, wasn't it? You don't understand French, and you have to, you're kind of forced to communicate in Arabic.
So that's the idea. Practically it doesn't always work like that, but to give you an idea, so the Ma'had, it's in the middle of the French countryside. It's in a village called Château-Chinon, which is like, if you've heard of Deen, Dijon, it's basically, if you take the Swiss Alps and you go left into France, it's kind of there. Think like the Yorkshire Dales or the Peak District. It's like a big countryside area, right in the middle of a village in there. It used to be some kind of youth in the 90s or 80s. It used to be some kind of youth activity center that this institution has bought, and they've turned it into an Arabic and Sharia school. But you live on campus now. Alhamdulillah, if people want to look it up, they have a Facebook page, they have social media videos. Like, people know it exists now, unlike me at the time. But it's beautiful. Like, it's in the most serene setting. You wake up, there's like a river just outside the dormitory. There's birds are chirping. And so you have, on this one big patch of land, you have the dormitory. Then you walk for about a couple of minutes, and then you've got the classrooms, and then you've got the cafeteria, and then you've got a masjid. It's all on campus. They had a sister's dormitory, they had a brother's dormitory, they had the masjid, they had the cafeteria. Your classes were Monday to Thursday, 8 a.m. till 1:30. Right.
Similar, like sort of. That's how it is when you go to, like, for example, Medina and stuff. Similar type.
Maybe they modeled it after that. I'm not sure. Basically, not from Fajr, because Fajr became really early at one point. Like the wintertime Fajr. The summertime Fajr. Sorry, even in France would come quite early. But so from about 8:30 or 8 till 1:30, you'd have classes. Your afternoons were free. Now, the benefit of this versus going to somewhere like Egypt, well, that's the other thing I missed out earlier is. So one of my plan B, C, D was, okay, I'll go to Egypt. That was the year of the revolution when all the war kicked off. So that was like, okay, that's not an option anymore either. But for those who do go to Egypt, they'll tell you that you're still very busy with your chores. You need to get your rent. You need to cook your food. You need to travel back and forth from the ma'had and all this kind of stuff. So it eats up a lot of your day. You need to do your laundry. You need to whatever else. Here, you literally, the mabit or the dormitory to the classroom is 2-minute walk. Masjid's a minute walk. Like, everything's there. So it's you've got no excuse. You've got from 1 p.m. onwards to do whatever you want. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of the students would waste that time, right? They'd sit and they'd chat, and they had the laptops, and they put movies on their laptops. They'd download them. There was no internet, but they'd download them and bring them with them. They came prepared. For me, I just thought, subhanAllah, this is, because I made an agreement with my mom. I'm only going to go for 1 year. I'll come back and I'll go to university. So I had it in my head that I've got a year here. I can't waste a minute of this. So and even when I went, and even till now, I was very like, very into planning my time and time management, trying to make the most of my time. So I got there, made myself a little timetable, said, right, okay, from 1 till 2, I'll do some hifz, and then I'll do some raja, and then I'll do some read from this book, and then so I had a whole timetable. Alhamdulillah, as well, there was a brother. So there was about 5-6 brothers from the UK. One of them he'd studied there about 10 years earlier. He went back with his wife. He was doing hifz and she was doing Arabic. But he had been teaching Arabic here, and he knew Arabic quite well. He'd studied there, and it'd been 10 years, so he'd consolidated what he'd learned. He would teach us on the weekend in English. The classes themselves were all in Arabic. So I got there on day one, the teacher's talking in Arabic. I'm like, when's he going to translate? Then I found out he doesn't even speak English. And it was just that, khalas, thrown in the deep end. And you're forced to learn.
But that's, I mean, I think that's the best, like, when it comes to language, just that deep dive in there.
Absolutely.
You're forced to, you got no choice.
Not everybody can handle that. Everybody copes with that.
Not everybody can.
But if you have the mindset of, I'm going to learn one way or the other, then that's actually the best way for you. Because it's like, I mean, even the metaphor, it's like swimming, throw him in the deep end. If he doesn't want to try, he'll drown.
Either you drown or you swim.
Either drown or you swim. And that happened. There were a lot of students come the end of the year, they knew nothing. Right? They couldn't even speak a sentence or two.
That's powerful. That's true. Anywhere you go, you'll find that. You'll find those that, they've been there for a short time, but they're dedicated. SubhanAllah. And then you get those that are just waste time, unfortunately. So SubhanAllah, that's interesting. The inspiration as well for learning Arabic. So after that, like, in terms of what inspired you then to, obviously you moved on to start teaching Arabic, and even developed an app that we want to get into as well, inshallah. So what was the kind of the inspiration to continue down that road?
So it was a couple of things. One of them was, so just to continue actually what I was saying before about in France.
Yeah.
So in that free time, I did a lot of kind of experimenting, right? So I had about, I remember like 6 books in front of me.
Yeah.
And I was like, this manhaj is good at this, but this one's really confusing when it comes to this thing. But this one has tons of Quranic examples which are better than that one, which doesn't. And I kind of wrote my own version of them all into my own little notes book. And I found that book was like a good consolidation of all of them, but it took a lot of work, of trying to figure out what worked. So when I came back, I started teaching, and I was teaching from my notes. And I found students were really like benefiting from it.
Alhamdulillah.
But then there were other things that I'd done, that I tried, that obviously they weren't studying full time and that kind of thing. So they couldn't replicate. But I thought maybe if it could be replicated in smaller amounts, right? So there were certain things I do to like memorize vocabulary and revise it and so on and so forth. And then I realized, okay, I went through all this struggle, literally like having to pick up and go to another country and not know where I'm going. But I've come back and I see other people who have the same, they want to learn Arabic, but maybe not to that level where they're going to pick up and leave.
Yeah.
But rather than expecting them to do that, shouldn't we make it easier for them so that even if they have half the motivation, they can still get the same result?
Yeah.
So I did start teaching. I started teaching some of the brothers in the masjid after Fajr. But again, I think I wanted to teach them maybe more than they wanted to learn sometimes. So I was kind of dragging, some people have to be dragged into Jannah in chains. It was one of them that I was dragging them to the masjid. Come on, let's do a class. They were half asleep. So that happened for a while. I taught a few different people, taught online, did a few different things. And then not much happened for a couple of years. Then I got kind of dragged into doing the translation I say dragged into, but in doing the translation in Lee's Grand Mosque for the Jumu'ah khutbah. So I thought, okay, I'm using my Arabic to help people, so I'm happy with that, alhamdulillah. Just to give context of that story, what happened is Sheikh Tahir came to me one day and he said, this week there was a brother who used to read the translation out. So what would happen is there was a brother who used to be in Leeds. He was a university student. He used to translate the khutbah on paper. So Sheikh he went back to Kuwait or Qatar or wherever he was from. So Sheikh would email it to him, he'd translate it, send it here, and then another brother would read it out. So Sheikh said to me one day, that brother who's normally reads it out, he's not here. Can you read it? I said, okay, I'll read it this week. I remember I read it and I thought, this was not very good English, right? But I kept it to myself. The next week, Sheikh goes, he's still not here. I go, Sheikh, I don't mind reading it this week. But can you just give me the Arabic and I'll translate it? I feel like I could do a better job. So he sent me, I did it. Alhamdulillah, I thought it was a lot better. After that, khalas, every week Sheikh's just sending me the khutbah. I joke with him now, I'm like, Sheikh, when's the guy coming back? It's been 10 years. Like, I said I'll do it this week, not forever. Like, alhamdulillah.
Allah accept.
So I was doing it and I thought, okay, I'm using my Arabic to help people, and even though I'm not teaching, and then came lockdown. So even that stopped. Right? There was no khutbah to translate. There was nothing really going on, and I thought, I want to revisit this idea of, okay, how can I maybe start teaching again? Maybe start doing some online classes. And then I had a friend who, the other brother from college, the Libyan brother. So I remember I said there were three, the Saudi, the Libyan, and the Moroccan. The Libyan brother, me and him stayed in contact. They were still good friends. And at the time, we were both trying out different things in business and slightly different projects. And my thing and his thing came to an end around the same time. So we got talking and we said, you know what, maybe we should work together. Like we get on quite well. And I feel like we could probably work well together. So then we started brainstorming, okay, what can we do? Right? We had a few different ideas. We tried a few different things. They didn't really lead anywhere. And then I said to him, listen, I want to think about this slightly differently. Right? I want to think about this from the point of view of, if it's something we're going to do as a business, then really we need to be doing it for like 3 to 5 years, just to see if it has a chance. If I'm doing something for 3 to 5 years, I know myself, if I'm driven, I'll do what I did when it came to learning Arabic. Like I'll pick up and move to another country if I need to. I'll do whatever. But if I'm not driven, I'll talk myself out of it at some point. Which is what I did with the other business. We were selling bedding and selling pillows online, and I had a friend in Manchester who was, I was doing it. I was up, doing the website and stuff. I'm like, I'm selling pillows. Alhamdulillah, is what it is. But
it's like you're not passionate about.
Exactly. They mean nothing to me, Yani. I could try to tell myself, I'm helping people sleep. Like, no, I'm not. Because I had a friend who was he was a gas engineer, and he would, fix boilers. Yeah. And he'd always say to me, you know what? I always look at my job as, look, I'm giving people hot water. I was like, you know what? Alhamdulillah, you're right. It's a good way to look at it. But I tried to spin it myself like, I'm selling people pillows. It didn't work. Right? I thought you're lying to yourself. You don't care enough. And this is not like the boilers. This is different. So I said he's called Ahmed. I said to Ahmed that, look, if we're doing something, it needs to be something that we both like care about, we're passionate about, that we would do even if it wasn't a business.
Yeah.
Right? And then a cause, a mission. And at the time, I came across, and if anybody's watching this, I don't know if we can put this on in the edit.
Yeah.
There's this thing called Ikigai, right?
Okay.
Ikigai, I think. It's a Japanese philosophical concept. Somebody took that concept and they merged it with this other thing. But now when you write Ikigai and you go on Google Images, you find a Venn diagram. You remember the Venn diagrams, the overlap and the thing in the middle? Yeah. So you'll find 4 circles that overlap. And then obviously the middle overlaps between all 4.
Yeah.
So you'll find one of the circles says, at the bottom, I think it says what you can be paid for. Right? Yeah. That's a job, a business, a self-employed, whatever it is. The one on the left, I think it says what you're good at.
Yeah.
Right. What are the things that you're good at? The one at the top says what you enjoy. And the one on the right says what the world needs.
Okay.
Or like what causes you believe in.
Yeah.
Most people, they'll combine between 1, 2, or 3 of these things in their life. So they'll do a job that they're good at and that they get paid for. Or they do a job that they enjoy and they get paid for. Or they're good at and they enjoy and they get paid for.
Yeah.
Or they'll do some outside of work that they believe in, but they won't get paid for it voluntarily.
Yeah.
But I said, okay, is there a way to combine between these 4? Where you're doing something you're good at, you enjoy, you believe in the cause, and you get paid for it. Khalas, then it's like, alhamdulillah, you wake up every day, you don't feel like you're working.
Yeah.
So that's where the kind of the angle for the brainstorming was. So we did a lot of brainstorming on this topic. We thought of, okay, what are all the things we're good at? What are all the things we enjoy? What are all the things that we care about, which is probably most important? And then how you get paid, khalas, if you understand business and you understand, you can monetize anything nowadays.
Yeah.
Right? I was saying to somebody the other day, you could tie shoelaces and become an influencer on tying shoelaces, or like the world's crazy place, and make money off that. But is there something that you believe in that you can then combine between these 4? The kind of area that we arrived on was education. We're like, look, we both care. We used to go to the da'wah stalls together, me and Ahmed. We used to have da'wah stalls here in town, and we'd give da'wah together. And so we cared about da'wah in general, but also just education.
Yeah.
For me, Arabic education was a bit more closer to home. Ahmed's mum was an Arabic teacher as well, so he resonated with it. Initially, we said the focus would be on children. So we were like, okay, the big problem is with the madrasa system here, and you're very familiar with it, that the amount of time children spend in madrasa and the quality of education they come out with, I thought there's always been a disparity here.
Yeah.
Like the amount of hours that I spent anyway, whilst I was in the madrasa, if you add up the number of hours, that's enough to not only learn Qur'an, but to understand Qur'an as well. Right? To learn enough Arabic at least to understand some of it, if not all of it. And this was validated by, I went to a madrasa in Blackburn called Abu Hanifa Foundation. MashaAllah, one of the best, if not the best run madrasa I've seen in the country. I've not seen that many, but examples of them that I've seen, right? I've gone in and the kids, it's very well run, right? Very well structured. They've got scouts program integrated into a madrasa system. I've gone into the Arabic class and I've gone into the year 2 class maybe, and the teacher's teaching in Arabic, and again, he's a native Arabic speaker and he's doing the whole speaking in Arabic to them.
Yeah, mashallah.
And the kids, mashallah, they're responding and they're understanding the odd thing. Then I went to the year 7 class.
Yeah.
Which is when I started to want to learn Arabic. And them kids were fluent, right? Probably as fluent as I am now.
Yeah.
And I thought, subhanAllah, and this is just from the madrasa.
And they're UK based, not like
they're
traveled
UK
or anything like that.
No, nothing. So when I saw that, I thought, okay, this place has the benefit of having an excellent head teacher, excellent staff, Sheikh Imtiaz Damiyal is their academic lead, or the head, basically the founder of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And he's he worked in Saudi for a number of years as a curriculum advisor or something along them lines. So he knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
And he, alhamdulillah, he managed to get the whole curriculum set up in that place to get these results.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I thought, okay, it is possible, right? My hunch was correct. So then what's the problem? The problem is, in our madrasas, we have a chicken and egg problem, right? فَقَدُ الشَّيْء لَا يُعْطِي, as they say in Arabic. So you can't give something you don't have. I can't expect the teacher to teach Arabic if he doesn't know Arabic. I can't expect him to teach tajweed if he can't recite properly. So what can we do? So we can do two things. We can create resources and tools to empower the teachers to educate themselves while they're teaching the children, and also to empower the parents who want to do it at home and who want to supplement the madrasa and whatnot. So that's where we settled on, okay, we're going to go into this realm. We're going to make some resources, products, app. We didn't really know what we were doing at the time. Then we settled on, okay, we're going to launch this Qur'an story app.
Okay.
Right? It's going to be an app animated, because we saw an app made by Christians called the Bible app.
Okay.
Right. If you go on the App Store now, you'll see it's got 100 million plus downloads. So subhanAllah, the Bible app has 100 million plus downloads.
Yeah.
And you write the Qur'an app, other than the Mus'haf, you look for some kids app for the Qur'an, it's like 5,000 downloads and the quality is awful.
Yeah.
And again, the budget's probably next to zero. So what do you expect? So we said, look, we need to do what these Bible app guys have done or better. Right. That was the initial inspiration. So we set off down that route. We launched an app for kids. It was called Qur'an Stories with Hudhud.
Yeah.
Right? There was this Hudhud bird and he was telling the stories of Qur'an. And we made the first story, which was a story of Yusuf alayhi salam, because it was the easiest one because it's already compiled in the Qur'an as a story. We launched it, alhamdulillah, got good feedback, got maybe a couple of thousand downloads. Then we started doing the second story, which was a story of Adam alayhi salam. And then we ran out of money. We had done an initial crowdfunding to kind of raise a little bit of a budget for it. We realized this is significantly more expensive than we thought. Not as many people have subscribed as we predicted, even though we hadn't really thought that part through, to be honest, looking back. And we found that this isn't a viable business, right? So either we can turn it into a charity, but we probably thought we'd have less success in trying to raise funds for this kind of project. So we said, oh, khalas, we're going to park that, right? And we're going to have to go back to the drawing board. But what we both realized was, so this took about a year. This is from 2018 to 2019. That whole thing took a year. Start coming up with the idea, testing it, building it, making the app, the voiceover, everything. Then we realized, okay, we have ticked all 4 boxes, right? We do care about this. We are good at what we're doing, even though we need to get better. We do enjoy it. Okay, we haven't made any money from it, but it's got potential to make money. So we knew we were on the right tracks. Then, like I said, we'd run out of all the funding that we'd raised for it. So we had to, I remember me and Ahmed had to sit down and we said, okay, what else can we do? Right? That's in the same realm, that's built upon the same momentum that we've already got. And I said, I've thought about it for a while, but something to teach Arabic to adults. And he said, okay, that's not a bad idea. So then we started brainstorming around that. And we decided what we were going to do was we were going to launch an online course for teaching Arabic. Just to see how it goes. We started making it. And then I'm trying to remember the timeline now. Not long after lockdown hit, COVID hit, all that stuff started to happen. No, sorry. So prior to that, we then launched an ebook. Right? People might have seen the ads of me like advertising this ebook and whatnot. We launched that ebook and we saw loads of people buying it, loads of people interested in it. So we thought, okay, there's definitely something here. Right? We've launched an ebook, top 300 words in the Qur'an. I don't know if you've come across this whole concept of.
I think I've come across something about like basically the high frequency words. Obviously,
exactly.
Seen that. Okay.
So it was, again, we didn't invent this method. This has been done previously, but again, it was done in a way that was a bit more relatable or like presentable, maybe. And again, one of the issues with a lot of these other curriculums and resources is they're coming from people who we can't necessarily relate to. So typically people from Indo-Pak region who've studied in the Dar al-Ulum systems, and they're very grammatically focused, grammar heavy. Us as English speakers, we don't even know English grammar. When these guys are talking about accusative and nominative and madrish and all this kind of stuff. I didn't personally have a clue. To this day, I probably couldn't tell you what they are. If you tell me in Arabic, marfu' or majroor, okay, I know what that is. But you tell me accusative and whatnot, I don't have a clue.
Yeah.
So again, we made these words and this concept and this ebook a bit more palatable, accessible, and people were, alhamdulillah, responding quite well. Yeah. So we thought, okay, we're onto something here. Then lockdown hit, and we had I'd made about half the course at that point.
Yeah,
I was planning this course. It was based on that book that I'd compiled while I was in France. It was the same structure.
Okay,
I was just turning it into an online course.
Yeah.
And I'd made half the course, and Ahmed was like, you know what? Let's start advertising it, just to see. And it's taking you a month, 2 months to make half. Let's just see how quickly could you make the other half. I go, yeah, I could, if I fully focused on it, I could probably do it a bit quicker. We launched it, and I think looking back, because it was lockdown, because people had all this extra money to spend, they were getting checks handed from the government and whatnot,
and they're stuck at home.
And they're stuck at home with nothing to do, and they're like, you know what? And it was Ramadan at the time as well.
Yeah.
Shortly after the first lockdown, Ramadan came. So people's iman was high. They were looking for something. They don't have Tarawih. They don't have the masjid.
Yeah,
so we've launched this course, and it's just like every day we're getting multiple people signing up. And it got overwhelming at a point because we were offering personalized WhatsApp support in the beginning. And literally, even if you check my phone now, there's like hundreds of names that I was adding every day. Assalamu alaikum, I'm your tutor. If you have any questions, and all these questions were coming in, and I was just on the phone 24/7.
Yeah.
And then I thought, I've only made half the course. What about when people get through half the course? I need to get making the course. And so that was basically the beginning of Arabic Unlocked.
Yeah. That's interesting. I actually wanted to touch back on about this and ask you what kind of gaps did you identify? Like, because like you just mentioned about how some people can't relate to somebody, for example, come from Indo-Pak, focusing on this like grammatical terms and stuff like that. What were the gaps that you found for non-native Arab speakers trying to learn Arabic? I think that's a key insight to see like what are the gaps that you found on your journey and all of this.
No, so I think there's a couple of things. So I know I did mention that thing about grammar, which isn't the root cause of the issue. When we teach, we have online courses now, and even the course I was talking about is very grammar focused.
Yeah.
But grammar itself isn't the problem. So I think the first issue I found was, this is true about a lot of things, not just Arabic. It's quite general, but it applies specifically here, is with anything, you should always work backwards from your end goal.
Yeah.
So if you say to me, drive to where? Where am I going? If you say drive to London, okay, if I know I'm going to London, I know I'm in Leeds, nowadays you put it into Google Maps, it'll calculate the most optimal route.
Yeah.
Let's say there's no Google Maps, I'm going to have to calculate it. Right? Yeah. But I need to at least know I'm going to London to know the best route to take.
Yeah.
What most people do is they mistake, and again, like in Ulum al-Shari, you've got maqsad and wasila, right? They mistake the wasila for the maqsad.
Yeah.
Right? They mistake the route for the destination. And people think they want to learn Arabic. No, you don't want to learn Arabic. You want Arabic to help you do something, right? And there's different things, right? So some people, they want to learn Arabic so that they can move to an Arabic speaking country, right? Some people want to learn Arabic, so like me, who wanted to be able to understand Qur'an and directly connect with the Qur'an. Some people want to learn Arabic because they like this girl and they want to marry her and they want to be able to speak to her parents or whatever, right? They're completely different objectives. Even though you might think, oh, it's just learning Arabic. No, it's not. Learning Arabic is a route to your goal. Once you've defined your goal, you can work backwards and say, okay, what do I need to learn and how do I need to learn it?
Yeah.
Right? That comes down to something as simple as, is it spoken Arabic or is it MSA, for example? Is it a dialect? Is it Quranic Arabic? Again, people don't differentiate between a lot of this. So they're studying MSA thinking it's going to be a direct transfer to Quranic Arabic when it's not. Then the next thing is, okay, let's say we've defined, okay, my goal is to understand the Qur'an.
Yeah.
Then, like with going to London, there's different routes to London, right? I could take the M1, I could take the A1, I can take all these side village roads, right? There is no one best route, right? Depends on the circumstances. If there's traffic on the M1, then maybe the A1's better. If there's traffic on both, maybe these side roads are better. So I can't say now that this is the best way to learn Quranic Arabic. It does depend on the person. So when I was in France, there was a couple, a brother and a sister from Germany.
Yeah.
They'd studied English as a second language. So when I speak about this accusative, nominative, whatever, they understood it instantly.
It hits with them,
Instantly. So they're like, oh, marfu is that? Got it.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what are you talking about? How do you understand? So I can't sit here and say, listen, you need to strip all this out or add all this stuff. A lot of that depends on the individual. But generally speaking, for somebody who English is their first language, I only know what I know, right? I know my experience. I know those who have similar experience to me.
Yeah.
Which is most people who've been born in this country who've learned to recite Qur'an, but they can't understand it and they want to understand Qur'an. Then I can say, okay, then these are the things that you should focus on. Focus on Quranic Arabic. Focus on the high frequency words first, because you get the highest ROI on them, right? The word ard, for example, is used throughout the Qur'an. The word lava is used once, right? So start with ard, where you're going to read all these ayat and ard and so on and so forth. We even made a course called unlocking all of our courses are unlocking this, unlocking that. But we have unlocking the phrases of the Qur'an. So we made a course on the common phrases in the Qur'an. So you'll find not just words, but there's like strings of words that are common, like samawati wal ard.
Yeah.
Right? It's only samawati wal ard, 3 words, depending if you want to count wa as a word. Yeah. Right? But that phrase is throughout the Qur'an. Right? And then if you just add a word before it, fis samawati wal ard. Right? You're starting to understand half an ayah here and there. Right? So I'd start with that. Then I'd go down. Again, a lot of it you might think is going to be to do with the learning itself. A lot of it's not to do with that. A lot of it's to do with the psychology, the motivation. Like health experts will tell you, anybody who follows any diet within reason will lose weight, right? Yeah. This diet is good, that diet is good. Just follow the diet and you'll lose weight, right? The biggest problem is people not following through on the diet. The same's here. Study an Arabic course long enough, you learn Arabic, right? The biggest problem is not the course, although it's part of the problem. The biggest problem is people stopping.
Motivation.
Right? Motivation wears off, they stop and they start. So we had to think outside the box in terms of how do we ensure that not only is the curriculum optimized, but even if this is the most optimal way to teach you, I need to keep a track of your motivation. Yeah. And I need to sprinkle some stuff in there to give you a bit of a motivation boost before giving you the next thing. So it's balancing between what the student needs and what he wants. Yeah. There's some other things. Yeah, there's a lot more we can mention, but there's some of the main things.
No, I think that's quite powerful, guys. And it's true, subhanAllah. Sometimes we think too much about the means, as you said, but we don't think about the end goal. That's our focus. And like you said, I like that example of that's the final destination. How am I gonna get there? Yeah. I want to get into something a little bit more personal that maybe listeners can relate to, inshallah, as well as what did you feel in terms of learning Arabic? I mean, obviously it's a given, the fact that you can understand the Qur'an, but how do you feel that was strengthening your iman, making you feel closer to Allah? Like, what would you say that helped you in your journey spiritually, like more with your iman?
Yeah, night and day, subhanAllah. Yeah, it's difficult to even think back to a time when I couldn't understand, right? Yeah, subhanAllah, it's not, you don't want to make it too wishy-washy that khalas, you feel this spirituality just enter your heart. It's not that. Yani, Allah is talking to you, right? Allah's words are powerful. Allah's message is powerful. Even if you just read a translation of the Qur'an, right, it can change your life. And how many people have accepted Islam via reading translations, or not even of the whole Qur'an, sometimes of a passage. But of course, the Arabic itself has its own power to it, its own fasaha, its own whatnot, its own effect that it can have on a person. So simply by understanding it, I think it's the difference between understanding and experiencing the Qur'an, right? When you able to experience it directly in Arabic, you get the whole, you get all of it, you get the meaning, you get the qira'ah, you get the tilawa, you get the effect on your heart and on your mind and on your soul. When you're reading a translation, you might get some of it, right? But yeah, the difference for me personally, alhamdulillah, it's been night and day, right? It's been it's difficult to put into words. It's only something that people can experience.
I think I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but is that one of the reasons with the whole unlocked? Because I felt like that's what you're saying. You're like unlocking how to how to get those secrets.
Yeah, because honestly, it does. This is the way we describe it as well. That look, there's a lock on the door between you and Allah at the moment. And that lock is the Arabic language, right? If you can just unlock that, this door, and again, it's not the only door, of course. There's other ways, but if you can just unlock that via learning the Arabic language. And again, you don't need to learn the entire Arabic language. You need to learn enough to start to understand the Qur'an. Well, like I said, when I first understood Maqam Ibrahim, it was like a light bulb. It was like, oh, subhanAllah, I felt something. Imagine I could feel something every salah, right?
So I mean, that's actually part of the, like the intrinsic motivation, isn't it? That subhanAllah, I'm starting to every Ramadan, like, especially when the Imam is going throughout the Qur'an, or even just salawat, attending the salawat, and like, like you said, for example, fi samawati wal ard. I know that now. I can. So it's kind of like there's a motivation there as well for people to, subhanAllah. Moving on, we're gonna wrap up in a bit, inshallah. What advice would you give to parents that want their children to go on that journey of getting closer to Allah, understanding their Deen better, obviously through learning Arabic? What kind of tips would you say? What would you give them advice like for as children, as as young as they are, to them growing up, in secondary school and so on?
There's a lot that can be said on this topic. But probably number one is actions speak louder than words. So you can, I've seen so many examples of parents who are like, oh, I sat my kid down and I showed him a Mufti Menk lecture and this and that, and he still messes about. What do you expect? Right? First thing is you need to show them what to do, right? Then you need to put them in the environment where, they say you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. So you need to put them in the environment where they choose to drink, right? Take them to the water as much as you can, right? Don't drag them to the water, because then they're just going to, every time they see water, they're going to run away, right? They're going to think, I don't want water. You want them to, you definitely don't want to do that. And unfortunately, a lot of people, a lot of parents, a lot of teachers have that effect where they're hoping, they're trying to do good, but they're having the opposite effect. So I'd say put them in an environment where they want to, it comes from intrinsically from them, like from within. They become inspired, right? However that might be. Again, sometimes it's through the example you set, sometimes it's through their friends and their company, taking them to places like the masjid where they're gonna meet people who can rub off on them in a good way. And again, don't force it, because you'll have the opposite effect.
Otherwise they get kicked out of madrasa. In terms of like, would you say that can you think of any like practical tips that they can, to get them into the journey, to get them to start off their journey? What kind of things that they could,
journey for
learning Arabic, for being able to study Arabic and learn Arabic?
So for learning Arabic, like I said, I think they need to be inspired to want to learn Arabic. Right. There's different ways to do that. So some of that can be via them tasting it themselves. Right. Sometimes it can be. So if I look at myself, it was a combination of things. I was inspired by somebody. I saw I want to be like him. I want to do what he's done. Now, the kids might not look to their parents and be like, I want to be like my parents. But they might look to another child who's, right, he's like me and he knows Arabic, or he's learning a bit of Arabic. I want to try and do what he's doing. So find that inspiration for them somewhere. Give them a taste of it, but again, don't force it down their throat. Right? If I force the food in your throat, even if it's nice, you're not going to eat it. But if I can get you to taste it and you decide yourself, oh, that actually tastes quite nice, then you'll start eating it. So how to do that? Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything specific.
Each child will have their own lock, as they say.
This is the thing.
They have to.
So it would depend on the child, where he's at, to give a bit more specific advice. But generally speaking, that's the approach I'd suggest.
Inshallah. طيب, inshallah. Just to finish off, to wrap up, inshallah. Any future plans that you'd say to further develop, like what you're doing in terms of with the Arabic app and with the Arabic language, if you want to share it with us, inshallah?
Alhamdulillah, there's a lot to be done. There's a lot to be done. So the app at the moment, alhamdulillah, it's been live for a few years. We've got over 1 million downloads of the app. We've got users in all around the world. We've got probably over 1,000 students in the academy online and that kind of thing. So, but we're currently English to Arabic. So inshallah, we're working on expanding that to all major world languages to Arabic. So Urdu to Arabic, French to Arabic, so on and so forth. that in and of itself is a huge mission. That'll take us a year or two.
Tawfiq, inshallah.
Bismillah ta'ala. And then the next step is currently we're targeting adults. We do find a lot of parents using this for their kids.
Yeah.
But it's more targeted at adults or high school age children. We're planning another app, inshallah, for primary school age children. Which will be much more kiddified, much more relevant to them. Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. With tawfiq, may Allah make it successful.
Ameen, ya Rabbi.
That's all from me. Jazakumullah khair. Appreciate you coming on. May Allah bless you and bless your efforts and accept from you and increase your efforts and make you a means of benefit for الإسلام والمسلمين. صلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.